Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by big4accountingfirms.com. In today's podcast, I wanted to talk about mid-year raises for E&Y. As we said before, they're the only firm that really hasn't said much around this. And there's various things floating around the internet, including some people saying they're just outright not going to give compensation, additional compensation, and they felt like what they previously gave as far as raises was good enough. And it appears that E&Y is giving mid-year raises in a few countries around the world. But other than that, they're not giving mid-year raises. Some people have said that they're giving the cash cards, or you can where you go to the websites and you select what type of gift card you want to redeem. But I've also been hearing that they're giving their performance bonuses in the middle of the year. So they're giving somewhat not a raise to the base, but they're giving a little bonus. And the bonuses will range depending on the person and the staff level, and it'll probably be less than 5%. But it also depends on the region, and also it depends on the country that you're in. So E&Y is not doing what the other Big Four accounting firms are with the mid-year raises. And if things stay the way they are, I'm sure that they will come back and readjust that, because I don't think you can be in this market environment. I think for KPMG, Deloitte, PwC all to do mid-year raises and E&Y to do nothing, I think is going to snap back in their face, and is not going to have the effect that they think it will. I think E&Y is gambling. They're gambling that the people that we have are going to stay, and the people that are going to leave are going to leave. They're not saying that there's people in between that are looking at compensation, making decisions based on compensation. And that's where, to me, E&Y is wrong. The marketplace is going to dictate what people want. People in Big Four are constantly looking for jobs, or not everybody, but a lot of people are. They're constantly getting recruited by recruiters, by companies. There's so many jobs on LinkedIn. And in big marketplaces, like in the US, like New York and Chicago, places like that, there's a lot of jobs, and wage inflation is real, and people can potentially make a jump for a lot of money. So I think E&Y not doing this, I think they're going to come back and change it. I think it was a poor decision. E&Y is going through some leadership changes. Well, I mean, all the Big Four accounting firms, I feel like, are constantly going through leadership changes, but they're going through some leadership changes at lower levels, obviously. So I think whoever made this decision for the global firm, or at least some of the countries in the global firm, I think might have to come back and revisit it, because the market is dictating that there needs to be mid-year raises. E&Y thinks that their previous raises were good enough, and I think the other Big Four accounting firms would have said the same. They have the same year, a lot of the similar fiscal years, so those companies gave good raises too, and on top of that, they gave a mid-year raise. So I think E&Y is going to have to come back and revisit this, but we'll have to wait until that time period comes and see what they do. But as of right now, it's not much going on in E&Y as far as mid-year raises. And another news story I wanted to discuss was news out of KPMG Uk. Apparently their UK CEO is trying to address all the controversies, and he's saying that he is the man to turn it around. And he's only been there not too long, since their last CEO resigned. But I think it's pretty funny that he says he's the man to do this. He basically gives his resume about he's been a regional leader, this type of leader, and that he's ready to take it over. But I don't think he's really saying that to the staff people in the UK. I think he's more saying it to the other partners that'll vote on whether he gets to stay or not, because they're facing so much controversy. KPMG is easy to pick on in the UK, and I think he's also trying not to lose the employees, because if you work at a firm with a bad reputation, I don't necessarily think it's going to impact like your clients, because clients view it as part of the business, as these accounting firms don't really pay attention to what they're doing, and they have misstatements and stuff. So I think a lot of the clients know I mean, especially CFOs and the industry accountants, they know that Big Four accountants just go through the motions for a lot of the part of audits, and they do the same thing year over year. So they're not going to say, "Oh, KPMG's in the headlines again, so we're going to get rid of them." They're going to use that as a negotiating point to lower the fee, but I don't think that means that all of the public companies are just going to throw away KPMG. They're not going to throw them away for audits. They're not going to throw away for consulting. They're always going to be in the mix. I think it's more important to stabilize for a staff perspective, because people are going to get scared to work for KPMG if they think that the firm has a possibility of going under, if they don't want the reputational risk on their resume, they don't want the blemish on their resume. So I don't think people really care what the CEO says. I think it's going to show in the results of their reviews from the FRC and other regulators. And so I think there's a lot to come for KPMG UK. We talked about the fines and scandals this year. They had one right after the other, and it got confusing because they were getting so many fines from the FRC. There's still more to come on that. More regulation, more fines. So I think KPMG UK has a lot to improve upon, and I think their CEO is a little bit worried about the future of the firm, as he should be. But we'll have to see what happens there and see if they improve any little bit. But also, I think the risk too for KPMG UK is that the regulators are kind of focused on them. Whenever there's something that needs to be changed in the financial markets or with auditing, it's easy to point to KPMG UK scandals. So they have to improve. And then maybe part of that is being more picky with the clients. But I think that's also hard when you're trying to grow all the time, because when you're trying to grow all the time, you'll accept worse clients and you'll just try to improve the margin on those clients. But if KPMG really wants to clean things up, I don't think they can move the ship overnight. They can't steer the ship and get everybody to be ethical and the best auditors ever. That's going to take years. One way they could do is increasing the threshold for maybe the size of the client that they're willing to take on, increasing procedures around onboarding clients, ask stricter questions, maybe ask about the background of the people at the company. And I know they already do this, but people just usually checkbox and like fill in a bunch of garbage. But if they're more strict on the people, on the clients that they choose to engage with, and the backgrounds of the people at those clients, then maybe they can get rid of some of this. That's kind of the immediate way that I see this happening. Will KPMG do that? I highly doubt it. I think they're just hoping that the regulation goes down and that they can talk their way out of this, and that they can partner with the other accounting firms to kind of lobby their way out of this. But I don't know how they turn it around. Whether or not the CEO stays, I don't think it'll make a difference. All these partners are interchangeable. They all have the exact same background. If it's not this guy, it'll be somebody that has exact similar background to him, maybe from a different city. So we'll have to keep an eye on that and keep an eye on what the CEO says and does over there. And it's going to be interesting because I don't think the KPMG UK issues are big enough to bring down KPMG, the global firm. But one day, potentially, if it keeps this way with the focus on regulation, that could take down the KPMG UK firm, or they get bought out, etc. There's a lot of things that could happen there. But that's the update for today. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast to get future updates and check out the show notes for useful links. Thanks for listening.